Oh, preparing to start. Hold on. Almost. 3, 2. There we go.
The American Medical Association recently decided to classify obesity as a disease, a condition that affects 1 in 3 Americans. I took a look at what this new classification means for people struggling with their weight and what our community is doing to help fight the growing problem. Joe De La Pena is just one of the thousands who are obese in the United States today. It was the moment he couldn't buckle his seatbelt on an airplane that served as a wake-up call.
I was like, wow, I don't fit in normal sized things anymore. I was at Harry Potter World, Orlando, and I couldn't ride one of the roller coasters because it wouldn't like come down over my belly. So I'm like, okay, this is reason for me to drop a few pounds.
Obesity has been on the rise for decades, but when the American Medical Association comes together and makes a recommendation, the medical community listens. The AMA's new way of looking at obesity may have an important impact on treating the condition.
A disease, by the definition of the medical world, is a condition that needs
All
treatment.
right, you are
And if
watching an episode of Transparency and Merit with Joe and Brian. I'm Joe, and we're keeping it stoic.
Yes.
Stoic, calm, and compulsive overeating.
Yeah, emotions and feelings are, as much as I try to be stoic, emotions and feelings are involuntary. And when I have a craving for food, like I had a craving for candy today, and I'm type 2 diabetic, and I bought 2 candy bars, and then I bought some chips. And I am diabetic, and I have high blood pressure as well. I have type 2 diabetes, and I also have high blood pressure and high cholesterol.
Very easily, we could take this show into a show about nutrition and the state of nutrition in our markets, just in our communities now, and what we see and what are our options to buy. And it's very frustrating and misleading in a lot of ways. People almost now are they almost feel like things like natural and organic are almost meaningless words now. They've been kind of they've kind of been turned into words that have less impact than when we first started seeing organic vegetables, for example, on the shelves. It was a big deal, and I think now people just are looking at the price, and they're seeing that maybe a bag of carrots is $5 when you could buy a bag of non-organic carrots that's sometimes almost twice as big and half the price.
It's also the same thing. Food droppings are natural. And I know the right things to eat, but my bigger question is the addiction. I know if I eat, if I eat only 1 meal a day, I will live longer. And if I eat the less I eat, the longer I'll live. But who can do that? Who can cut that stuff out? Who can how does someone overcome an addiction like food? How does someone overcome a sugar addiction? Which is
I'm
what
not
I
gonna.
have.
I'm not gonna sit here and preach, because I recognize something. I recognize that when I was growing up, and my parents would cook for me, they never added salt. They never added things like MSG and other kind of flavorings and unnatural flavorings, and there was processed food in the house, but it was of course it was probably more processed then, for all I know. But there was a lot of processed food, but there was also this whenever they would cook in the home, I don't know if I grew used to it, but bland food did the trick. and I did. I loved it. And even to this day, I rarely, I'm very light with my salt intake. And there was for dessert, we didn't really gorge ourselves on it. It was a real treat to get like an eclair or something, but it wasn't every day. And so I kind of just grew. It's been so natural for me to not let certain things get into my diet. I never craved Coca-Cola, for example, or sodas. So there was never really much of a, I never went through a big gulp phase. And but other people, just they grew up way differently. I recognized that when I was young, too. And there were people that ate way better than me and were in great condition. It seemed physically, they looked better, healthier, I would say, and I was just kind of middle of the road. But there were some things that we didn't use that I think have led, this kind of obesity and diabetes thing that's just gone haywire. So I don't know. It's just when I think on things like that, it would be very hard if I grew up in a household where, I always had Captain Crunch or Count Chocula on the breakfast table, and had very salty meals and that kind of thing. It's what you're used to, but it's definitely, or it's what certain people are used to. But these are things that can be broken over time. I think being conscious of it is the most important thing. So when you start to recognize every single pellet you put in your mouth counts. And I think that's another thing. I think some of the diet programs like Weight Watchers really focuses in on calorie counting, and keeping a very strict monitoring over the intake versus your output. So is that something you're familiar with?
I am familiar with Weight Watch. I'm a little bit familiar with Weight Watchers and
Not just Weight
Overeaters.
Watchers, but all the diet programs.
Yeah, Overeaters Anonymous.
Have you ever tried Overeaters Anonymous? Because I think for that there's there's a lot involved. There's politics, and there's also, of course, one of the things is you have to submit to a higher power, and people take umbrage with that. But have you ever looked into the STEP programs?
I do an Overeaters Anonymous meeting, and there aren't any meetings right now because of COVID. But I found I didn't really. it didn't really take with me because I mean it was very female, and I'm kind of, you know, like it didn't, you know, and I don't know if there's a feminine brain and a masculine brain, but it was too feminine for me at the time. And you know, I've bought books about fasting, and I understand the benefits of the fasting. The problem with me is appetite control. And the one book that I read, I forget the name of it, but it was very popular. But the only thing on appetite control that it had was instead of taking a day of fasting, do it for 11 days. And the longer you commit, the better you'll fast. And that might be true. And the longest I've ever been able to fast is about 5 days. It was close to 6. But at 3 a.m, I could not sleep, and I got up to get, you know, and I ordered something at 3 a.m. online.
Italian food, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct. Yeah. So I can't get past that 11-day. Yeah.
And not just one Italian dish. You ordered 2 that night.
Yeah, I didn't eat them all. I ate one, and then but I finished it during the day.
Okay.
It was like I couldn't sleep even. I mean, it affected my sleep. So yeah, it's a tough situation. I mean, what can you do when you know, when the compulsion is there? And to a degree, food is like a drug, and particularly sugar is like a drug. And I don't know if I have gone to diet places that that do appetite suppressants, and that worked out pretty well. But then I started to, you know, once I was off them, I just ballooned. And I've heard that you don't want to be on them for a long period of time, kind of thing. The diet place that I was with, it gave you vitamin B12 shots and then appetite suppressants. So you'd work out and you wouldn't eat. But they say, you know, a lot of those places are considered kind of scammy, and they've closed a lot of them down. And now, like, you know, I try, you know, I don't eat in the morning. I don't eat breakfast. And I took my blood today, so I didn't, you know, like until 11, 12 o'clock, I didn't eat. And then I went, after I got my blood drawn, I went to this store and bought some steaks, and I fried them up and cooked them. And then I got the biggest craving, like, for candy bars that I've ever had. And I went to my local 7-Eleven, and I ate a candy bar. And yeah, I mean, when the craving's there, it's very strong. And I don't know. Sometimes I can fight it. I mean, I've gone like months without eating sugar, but there are times when I cannot fight the craving for sugar. And I can only assume that it's like a heroin or crack addiction, where I want that I want that candy bar, that donut, that piece of cheesecake, and I will do anything to get it, just as a heroin addict would. Which means I'd probably, so, you know, I was going to say I'd probably, you know, like hook for it or what, you know. I don't know if I'd go that far, but I mean, the craving is really, really big. I wonder, because I know they're similar, but I don't know if they treat overeating similar to drug addiction. Joe, are you there? I see you're still muted.
I'm here, but I'm not sure what the question was.
My question is, I wonder if there are alternatives, like are there any safe appetite suppressants that one could take? Maybe, I mean, because the options right now are going through the diet phase. There are a lot of people that just do the gastric bypass surgery where they cut out, like where they basically or do the lap band, which stops them from the compulsive overeating. And I wonder, and I think they might be the two things. So forgive me if I'm completely wrong. But besides doing that, I mean, what are the other alternatives, and what are the best alternatives for compulsive overeating? And is handling it like drug abuse? Is that an intelligent thing? And that's my question right now. Is it a good thing to handle it like drug abuse? And how successful?
Well, look,
How,
look, the more you know, the better off you are. And it requires, if nothing else, the self-discipline to want to know your own limits. And there are ways you can test your optimal amounts of certain intakes. So if it was sugar, you could test yourself and you could find that out. There are ways that you can figure out if you're eating enough salt or not enough salt, or if it's a lot of people who become veg, and I'm not saying this applies to you, but it just goes to show the importance of it. I know somebody who became a vegetarian because she's overweight, and became did this dramatic shift from going from a regular consumer of meats to eating no meats. And suddenly I talked to her, and she was sick about 3 times. She kept getting sick, and asked her what she was eating, and she was only eating an egg and some cheese and some peanut and nuts to supplement her protein. And what she ended up consuming was somewhere in the area of about 20 to 30 grams of protein a day, when her body was requiring 60 grams at minimal of protein a day. She skipped right over it and didn't really give that a thought. She thought she was just going to eat a lot less and no meats and without replacing the protein. As soon as she started to supplement her diet with occasional meats, and basically she upped her protein, she dropped the whole idea of being a very strict vegetarian, and she felt better. She got a lot stronger very quickly, and continued on with her diet in a different way. But it was just the wrong diet for her, and she was happy. She was losing a pound or two here and there, but none of it was sustainable. And that's, so there's a couple concepts that would benefit, and that's what is sustainable, and that just simply means like looking at the long term. What can it's great to starve yourself and fast for 5 days and have that discipline, but realistically that's not, you're looking for lifestyle changes. So you got to think in terms of sustainability, and that's something that a lot of people get tripped up on first. Just, and that's just I'm not by no means am I a health advisor even. I just I'm just going strictly by experience and what I've sort of picked up. And there's less motivation these days to exercise. Less people are out. You're fortunate. You're doing probably a lot more walking than most people. So you're at least getting some exercise in, and to not, to only address one aspect of the diet and not do it on a holistic level is just it's very Western medicine sort of styling. I know there are people that supplement their diets with just pure drugs. So yeah, I would definitely take it like, I wouldn't consider it a disease. I hate that word for obesity or overeating or compulsive overeating. I don't see it as a disease, as more of just a lack of discipline in one particular aspect. And hey, that's just how I see it. I don't know if they answered your question.
Well, I'll tell you something, Joe. Now, are there any, I just wanted to say, are there any comments on the comment section? Is there anyone has anyone come into our show and are making any comments? Sometimes nobody comes in, and sometimes we do have a few of our regulars come in. So just looking to heads up there. But, Joe, I wanted to kind of add that I can fast much easier than I can keep away from sweets. When I'm not fasting, and particularly right after I fast and I eat something, I automatically have an urge to eat something, eat sugar. And like I say, there are days, and I'm curious, like, I don't know if there would be like a chemist to discover what's in my body or what I'm lacking in my body when I really want something sugary. But there are days when I really just crave. I mean, I don't mean, like, if I don't have that candy bar or that piece of cake, or whatever, I'll go nuts. I mean, if I cannot, it's the craving is absolutely overwhelming, and I'm not gonna win that. I'm not gonna win that fight at that time. When the craving is today, the craving was so overwhelming. I resisted, and then I couldn't resist anymore. And between my willpower and my desire for that, my lack of willpower lost out, in my desire for the candy. That candy bar won out, and it's kind of like I said, it is what it is. I realize that I don't have control over this. My desire for candy and sweets is not something that I want to do. It's not, it's. I wish I didn't have a sweet tooth, but I do. It's not a desire. It's just something that basically has control over me. Now, Joe, is there anyone in the chat room right now? Is there anyone in our chat room that's on there? If you can observe that, or is that not, or you can't see that?
I don't know.
Well, actually, I don't see anyone in our chat room right now. No one's here.
Let's check. We do have a phone line open. Let me boot up the phone. And do you know our number?
310-668-1969, Joe.
So the diabetes has not clogged your memory fully.
No, but I don't see anyone. Well, let's see. Is there anyone in the? No, I don't think anyone's in the chat. Is on. We're kind of new here to Zoom, so before we have.
I don't hear.
You don't hear what?
Are you off the mic? Are you off the microphone?
I'm here, Joe. Can you not hear me?
I think I can.
Let me see here.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I see my levels going up and down on the microphone. So, yeah, I do hear that. So, yeah, and I'm just, this might not be, I'm going to do a little bit more fasting.
I will say there are.
Joe.
I will say there are people watching, and Darren is there. Our phone lines are open now. By the way, and let's see. I'll post the number 310-668-1969 is the number, and if you have any thoughts on compulsive overeating. It's a topic we've beaten down with a baseball bat.
I'm imagining that we have.
And Wolfman says he's officially leaving the grid right now. Awesome.
And why would he leave the grid?
Well, you know what? Canada's an interesting place. Canada is interesting. One thing I'm not seeing, and I'm sure you could. I know there's a way to do it on Zoom, but I'm not sure how to get all the they get the chat board up like StreamYard has. I'll have to figure that one out. There we go.
I'm actually trying to post my stuff on my social media, Joe. As I'm doing that right now. There is, just a lot of interesting things out there about compulsive overeating.
What do you see?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of information out there. One of them, like there's appetite suppressants, there's operations, and there's all kind. I mean, we had a show there, a couple of years ago. We had a show called The Biggest Loser, and kind of inspired me for a little bit. And then I realized all the people on The Biggest Loser ended up gaining their weight back.
Well, let's answer this call. Hello, caller. You're on with Brian and Joe on one of the greatest episodes of Transparency and Merit you're ever going to hear. How's it going?
Absolutely. This is Darren. I'm at work. Sorry.
How's it going?
Loud. Can you hear me?
We can hear you just fine.
I was going to say I'm the exact same way, Brian, when it comes to sugar. If I bought like a box of donuts right now when I'm trying to lose weight, and if I ate one donut, I'd have to eat the whole damn box. I can't have one. So it's better for me to have zero.
Yeah.
I've lost all this weight. I've lost like 40 pounds. I just stay away from the sugar. And then when I really desire the sugar, I grab a bunch of raspberries and plain yogurt and I eat as much as I want. And it usually satisfies me.
So you found an alternative that you could enjoy. Who doesn't enjoy it? Brian claims not to enjoy any fruits, which is just insane to me.
When you're off of sugar for a couple weeks, or if you come off of a fast and you eat whatever, when you come off a fast, don't eat sugar. Go to berries and they'll taste like a candy bar.
Well,
they'll taste like candy.
I can't take the texture. I've never liked fruit. And by the way, am I still on, Joe?
Yeah.
They took me off for whatever reason, but I guess I'm still on. But the one thing that I cannot stand is like the texture of fruit. But the only fruit that I like are green apples, Fannie Mae green apples. But if something's too soft, it makes me gag. I can't even complete the eating of it.
Can you eat yogurt, like plain yogurt?
Yeah, I can do that, but it's not that sweet tasting. But the thing of it is, you know what? Let me just say this, Darren. What I realized about artificial sweeteners, like diet sodas and stuff, that just makes you crave. It's not good for you, but more importantly, it makes you crave sweet.
Yep. I agree.
So I keep away from diet sodas. Diet sodas are not, you cannot. And the same thing with sugar. Yeah, go ahead.
Something else I've been doing. I take Nutella, which is basically sugar, but it's got less sugar in it. It's a lot of protein, and I'll just drip it over the yogurt, just like 1 tablespoon. It's like 15 grams of sugar, but it's usually enough to satisfy me. Might try that too. It's working for me anyway.
Now, what is the longest you've ever gone? What is the longest, Darren, that you have ever gone fasting?
4 days.
Yeah, 5 days. It was close to 6.
I found that after I was on my fast, though, I couldn't stay on a good diet. I kind of, because I had the green light to eat, and then I got stuck in the being hungry all the time because I was eating carbs. As long as I keep my carbs down, I'm really not that hungry.
Yeah, well, I've heard that too, and I fried up a steak today, and I'm gonna fry up some pork sausage tomorrow.
I'll tell you what I did tonight. I made a Wagyu steak, and first of all, a Wagyu steak it was the best filet I've ever had. It was a filet mignon cut of the Wagyu, and instead of, I only got about a half a pound to split, so really 1/4 pound each. And what I did is I made a salad and I chopped it up and I put it in the salad, made my own dressing, and it was just the greatest salad I've ever eaten. It was so good. And
what kind of dressing?
I made my own, thing of just balsamic and red wine vinegar and oil and some herbs and some soy sauce, and it came out frigging amazing.
Did you feel like having a dessert afterwards?
I did, and so I did, because I didn't feel like I just powered down a 2-pound steak. I felt great. And so I did. I had a little dessert, and there we go. It's good to go.
I usually don't really like just eating berries, But if I mix it with the yogurt for some reason, I freaking love it.
I wish I did that for dessert, to be honest. But yeah, I had.
Sometimes I'll put a tiny bit of Nutella on there too, and just kind of drip it on there.
That sounds great.
Yeah, great. I look forward to it every night. Nice. At least I have something to look forward to that's sweet. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I'm just like Brian. I mean, there's no point in me taking one bite of cake, because all I'll do is think about it like for the next 3 hours. It's terrible.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, you can't go moderate with sugar. It's an all or nothing, and really and truly, it's best to basically stay away from it, And
yeah.
But sometimes, the cravings.
Just for diabetics.
Yeah, yeah. But the cravings are there. I mean, and I've also, come to the conclusion that human beings are not rational. We don't do what is best for us. We do what what we crave and what we desire. And
Well, I just want you to know I feel the exact same way when it comes to eating sugar. I mean, it's really, you got to stay away from the candy bars. I mean, that'll ruin you for a week before your appetite will get back to normal. At least it would for me. I'd be hungry every day for 5 days.
well, it's something that I'm still looking into. As far as, I mean, like I said, I used to drink a 2-liter bottle of diet soda every day, and I'm not doing that anymore. And then I would start eating sweet, and I would eat sweets every day. I don't eat sweets. Well, not lately. I've been eating sweets every day, but there are days when I don't eat sugar and I don't eat sweets. But lately, I can't help myself. It's just it's an over.
What about a protein bar? And those are kind of sweet.
There's some great ones. There's a great candy bar out now. It's I don't know, a nutrition bar. It's made with egg white and nuts and a fruit, and they're awesome. And everybody I know that's eaten those loves them too. You might want to check those out.
And you got to have something. I have to have something sweet. If I'm going to have any carbs, it's going to be something that's sweet. I'd rather have that than, like a sandwich. If I'm going to eat a little bit of carbs, I'd rather save it for the berries and Nutella and yogurt late at night. It's worked for me, so whatever works, right?
Yep, whatever works. Yeah, that's
what I do.
Yeah, Nick's on a tube. Maybe that's how he stays so thin.
Is Nick here?
He is. He's in the chat room.
Oh, cool.
What's up, Nick? What's up, Wayne?
I got to get back to work.
Yeah, thanks for calling.
I want you to know you're not alone. I am the exact same way. You can forget about like eating one piece of pizza or one bite of cake or one donut hole. Forget it. If there's still more, and even if there isn't more, I'll be thinking about it for the next 2 hours after I eat the one piece.
You want to go back to the store. You want to go back to the donut shop and get some more. You think, I only have 3, and then you finish the 3 and go, man, I'm going back to the store.
What I've been trying to do is being thankful for what I am eating and not thinking about what I can't eat. And then I try to eat slower too, especially with the dessert, because I know it's like a treat for the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Interesting. These are 2 men that I've actually eaten dessert with on the call.
Oh yeah.
Yogurt just fills you up.
I saw that banana split that you guys both ended up down. And was it Joe? Was it good?
Well, one thing I liked is that Darren did not fight me for splitting it right down the middle. It was a perfect divide. He wasn't like reaching his spoon into my side of the plate, so that was good. It overall was a good experience.
You got the cherry too. You got to eat the cherry on top.
I got the cherry as well, so that was the highlight. Definite highlight.
I gotta get back to work, guys.
All right, man.
I have a twin brother.
Later, man. Oh.
And when we had to split something, the rule was you can either cut the piece and then the other person gets to make the choice. Or
on the cherry?
No. I'm talking about like say there was like a slice of cake and there was one left, but we could split it between the 2. So The rule was, if you cut it, the other person gets to make the choice. So,
Now, what happened if there? Oh, I see. So it was to the advantage of the person cutting to make a fair cut.
that's correct. That's correct.
I like that.
Kind of an interesting thing. I don't think we have anything else to add, Joe. And I want to continue on the subject of self-restraint. And I remember years ago, and I did it because I thought there was going to be a porno movie, and I don't think there was. I took a thing on human sexuality, and he said that human beings on average are not very good at self-restraint, particularly when it comes to food and sex. So that is an issue that I think we want to delve into, and even modern technology has not come up to it. And maybe there's a reason why modern technology hasn't come up to it yet. I mean, the food industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And if they discovered an appetite suppressant that would have people eat less and lose weight, there would be, a lot of money to be lost. And, like there's a whole, breakfast is not, I am convinced that breakfast is not the most important meal of the day. But there is a whole breakfast industry that wants you to believe that.
No question about it. It was all part of the programming. Edward Bernays created that bacon, eggs, toast kind of I don't know, gut buster sort of breakfast. But anyways, all right, are we done?
Well, we'll end it here. I just want to end up and say, it's interesting how people are programmed to believe certain things that that are untrue and probably still do today. So yeah, let's call it a day. Like and subscribe and leave a comment down below.
That's right. And also check out our store. If you go to transparencyandmerit.com, transparencyandmerit.com, go to the shop and check out our shirts that we are selling, Gone with the Wind shirts at a crazy low price. Everything must go in 2020. And so let's finish.
Of Downsize Fitness.
Let me just
Who
play
once
this
weighed
as we go out.
400 pounds and understands the seriousness of obesity.
I think that it's finally bringing a level of medical awareness and a stamp to a cause that so desperately needs us. And it's not just obesity, it's all the associated comorbidities, whether that's diabetes, heart disease, stroke, different other types of health ailments that can affect us due to obesity.
While the AMA's move is seen as a positive step forward, some are worried the attention the new label brings won't always be positive.
Anytime we label somebody as something, I think it becomes a blow to their identity, a blow to their esteem. We call people fat. First of all, anybody who has tried to control their weight know how hard it is. People are genetically often overweight. They come from family histories where their parents and their grandparents had weight problems. So they didn't come here because they're binging on a large amount of food. They have a genetic proclivity to it. To call them fat is just devastating.
My own fears or my thought process is our insurance company is going to be looking at that as a parameter to increase people premiums.
Healthcare workers agree patients who are obese need to be treated, but determining obesity's effects on the body isn't as simple as just calculating your body mass index.
You could be the Terminator and have a BMI over 30 because you have so much muscle mass. It doesn't tell us what kind of shape you're in. So if you are very overweight,